This is the Jedburgh Podcast. I'm the creator and host, Fran Racioppi. Each episode, I speak with transformative leaders, visionaries, drivers of change, and those dedicated to winning, no matter the challenge. The Jedburgh Podcast is founded in the lineage of the Special Operations Jedburgh teams of the past and is produced in partnership with Talent War Group, a management consulting and executive search firm focused on helping you optimize the people side of your business. We're sponsored by Jersey Mike Subs. Together, we share the mission of giving, making a difference in someone's life. Visit the Jedburgh Podcast, Talent War Group, and Jersey Mike Subs on the web and on social media. A percentage of all proceeds is dedicated to the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. Communities exist in every corner of the world, in every industry, and for virtually anything anyone cares about. We define community as a group of people having a particular characteristic in common or sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. The fitness community is one of the largest, most intense, and most rewarding. It's also one of the most inclusive because great fitness communities don't care how strong you are, how fast you can run, or how many burpees you can do. Great fitness communities only care that you work hard and you try your best. I've had the opportunity this spring to highlight GORUCK, one of the most intense and dedicated fitness communities out there today. In episode 56, I traveled to Jacksonville to sit down with GORUCK founder and former Green Beret, Jason McCarthy. We spoke about the history of GORUCK. We spoke about how he's disrupting fitness with the launch of Sandlot technology. And most importantly, Jason shared with me his vision to reunite the GORUCK community with the first ever GORUCK Games at the Sandlot Jax Fitness Festival. Partnership is the first step in building a community. So to kick off our partnership with GORUCK and to reinforce our commitment to helping people achieve their max potential, the Jedburgh Podcast team drove down to sunny Florida to cover the games, the intensity, the dedication to community, and the drive to just try hard and do whatever it takes to win. But to join the GORUCK community, we first expanded our community and welcomed the Readiness Collective and Jaguar Land Rover of Fairfield, Connecticut into our Jedburgh Podcast team. Together, we activated a podcast studio built into the back of a World War II Land Rover Defender ambulance once used by the British Royal Air Force. This episode kicks off the first of 12 episodes we recorded at Sandlot Jax in the back of the Land Rover ambulance. Over the next 6 weeks, we'll drop 6 long-form episodes and 6 short-form jumping-in episodes highlighting some of Sandlot's most prominent leaders in fitness, entrepreneurship, business, and veteran support. Our long forms start with this episode, number 59, where we tell the story of Sandlot Jax and Sandlot Technology. Our first interview is with BJ Naedele, the co-founder of Sandlot Technology. If you remember, Jason spoke about BJ in episode 57, and he highlighted his work launching 4 apps for Nike in the App Store. BJ shared with me his vision for disrupting the fitness industry. He talked about the Sandlot Fit app. He talked about founding Sandlot Jax and the GORUCK Games, and most importantly, what's next in bringing trainers together with trainees in a way that's simple and effective for both sides. Next, I brought in Jason's wife, Emily, and Sara Wilkinson, our guest from episode 55. Emily shared with me how Sandlot was an all-or-nothing gamble with everything her and Jason had. She spoke about the power of activating the GORUCK community and what we learned from the first 2 days of competition. Sara and I followed up on our commitment we made in episode 55 to honor her husband, Chad, former Navy SEAL who died by suicide. On Saturday morning down at Sandlot, Sara, me, and the entire Jedburgh team took to the steps and completed Chad's workout of the day, Chad 1000X. Sara shares her drive and commitment to the fitness community, her Sandlot experience, and provides the details for this year's Boston Frogman Swim, where she'll be leading a team to honor both Chad and other Navy SEALs who lost their lives to suicide. Finally, late Sunday afternoon, I scooped up the winners of the first annual GORUCK Games, Hunter McIntyre and Katie Knight. This fitness power couple joined me for the final conversation of the 2022 Sandlot Jax Festival to have a Yingling and celebrate their victory. Katie's a newcomer to obstacle course racing, but has already created an impact winning the 2021 World's Toughest Mudder. She's also no stranger to endurance or fitness, having come from an ultramarathon background and running her own personal training company, Nighttime Training. Hunter McIntyre is a veteran OCR champion and among many other achievements was named one of the top 50 fittest athletes by Sports Illustrated. He holds 7 world titles, 3 world records, 5 national titles, and has over 100 podium finishes. Katie and Hunter were an impressive final interview during which we recapped the 12 grueling events, discussed what drives them to compete at an elite level, and their theories on training to win now and in the future. Hunter also shared with me his battle with drug addiction, how fitness grounded him in purpose, and how the GORUCK Games might keep him competing past his planned retirement. Plus, the winners each gave me their 3 foundations for success, some of which are a first on the Jedburgh Podcast. And those of you who've listened to all our podcasts know we've had a lot of good ones. I want to thank everyone who came out to Sandlot Jax to support the event, the athletes, and especially the Jedburgh Podcast. To all our new listeners and followers, welcome to our Jedburgh team. Special thanks to our title sponsor, Jersey Mike's, for donating 300 sandwiches for lunch on Saturday. Thank you to Analytics Solutions for sponsoring our booth setup. Thank you to my friend, Kevin Edgerton, founder of 18 Alpha Fitness, and my guest on episode 40 for joining us on location and rallying the network. Great work by our marketing coordinator, Jenny DeClay, and our logistics tech, John Enoch, for making it all come together. And I'm forever grateful to a quiet Jedburgh who makes it happen no matter the challenge. Thanks, buddy. In many episodes, we've said hard work bonds people together. The greatest partnerships are often created from the greatest challenges. I'm especially honored to not only thank but welcome the Readiness Collective and Jaguar Land Rover of Fairfield, Connecticut to our Jedburgh team. Thanks for trusting me with the Land Rover ambulance. Thanks for joining us down in Jacksonville. And get ready to turn it up later this year as we take this show on the road alongside you both. The Jedburgh Podcast, the Readiness Collective, and Land Rover live by the motto, how you prepare today determines success tomorrow. Take a listen to this recap episode of Sandlot Jax. Don't miss our lead-up episodes with Jason Khalipa, Sara Wilkinson, and Jason McCarthy. And stay tuned for a Sandlot Jax blast of content for the next 6 weeks. We have long-form episodes every Thursday, including Navy SEAL and CrossFit star Josh Bridges, combat wounded amputee and elite athlete Earl Granville, Bubs Nationals Sean Lake, Kelly Starrett of the Ready State, and skateboarding icon Mike V. Mike Vallely, founder of Street Plant Skateboards and lead singer of Black Flag. Join us each Monday for the next 6 weeks as we jump into some short conversations with MMA fighter and Green Beret Tim Kennedy, the Green Beret Foundation's Executive Director Brent Cooper, and Kevin Edgerton from 18 Alpha Fitness, F45's Director of Military Programs Mike Nichols, founder of Alpha Elite Performance Green Beret Travis Wilson, and Aaron Anderson from Wadapalooza. I promise you haven't seen anything like this in any podcast yet. Subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Check us out at jedburghpodcast.com. And don't forget to tell all your friends. With that, let the GORUCK Games begin. BJ, welcome to the Jedburgh Podcast.
Fran, thanks for having me. So excited to be here with you today.
Well, we're here because of you.
No, not at all, my man.
It's
an amazing experience to be down here with 2,000 people, fitness, fun, family, and friends, and so it's just an awesome experience.
And we have to highlight the launch and kind of the coming out party for Sandlot technology and the Sandlot app, which you are the co-founder of, along with Jason McCarthy, founder of GORUCK. And so when we interviewed Jason in 56, that came out just before Sandlot, we talked about Sandlot technology and how Jason and you came together to think about how do we disrupt fitness. And at the end of the day, where's the opportunity and where's the disconnect that exists today between trainers and trainees, and how do you pair them up in a different way? So can you talk for a minute about how you guys came together and the vision that went behind creating this technology?
Yeah, absolutely. So I linked up with Jason almost 5.5 years ago when I left Nike. Had been a fan of,
which we're going to talk about, by the way.
Been a fan of.
I need to know why you only have launched 4 apps into the Apple.
We got to set the bar. We got to set the bar high, right? So,
you're leaving something on the table.
Yeah, look, we got another one that'll get there eventually. So no, look, I've been a fan and customer of GORUCK since 2013. Left Nike in early 2017. Jason was the first call that I made when I got out of Swoosh. Came down on an invite to hang out with him for a day. Turned into be a long weekend. Left with a board advisor role.
And a headache.
Multiple headaches and multiple empty Budweisers. But no, left with what's become one of my best friends on the planet, where, as he says, like finds like, and we're both driven by, I think, the core of what Sandlot is. How do you help people be healthier, be more connected, be more active? Regardless of what your fitness interest or level is. So going on year 6 together with Jason.
And that's one of the cool things about being here at Sandlot right now is there's people of all shapes and sizes, walks of life, different backgrounds, and we've been fortunate because we thought it was a good idea to bring this Land Rover, Discovery World War II ambulance, and fortunate to partner with the Readiness Collective and Jaguar Land Rover of Fairfield, who's donated it to us for use in these types of events. But this is our first activation like this. And now we have several requests to go to some massive events, so I'm super excited and certainly be here next year and every year that this is going on. But because of that, we've had the opportunity to speak with so many people as they've come through and asked, what are you guys doing over here? Why are those two people down there? I know. Why are they sitting in the back of that thing talking? But it is about the community.
Yeah.
And the community is so diverse. When you have now come together and you said, how do we create a platform that it doesn't matter where you're coming from, what your level is, we just want to bring people together. Talk 100%. About that vision.
Yeah, I mean, look, it actually goes back a little bit to the Nike days, and part of what we looked at Nike was from a walk to a run, from a run to an Olympic gold. And if you had a body, you were an athlete. And so we took a lot of that original DNA into what we're doing with Sandlot. Let me go back and talk about how Sandlot even started.
Yeah.
It was middle of COVID. We're all at home. I think we're all just, sick and tired of being on a glass screen all day. As I say, humans were not meant to work and work out behind a glass screen. And so we had been trying to build the GORUCK app. And I think Jason and I both saw the opportunity for something much bigger. No one is a single fitness category or modality person. You do yoga, you do some CrossFit, you may go play pickleball with the kids. And so we wanted to really do something that broadened access and broadened the aperture to fitness and do it in a way that was really, and I think you see it down here, Fran, outside is in and social's not media. And so having arguably created the digital fitness category, we actually want people off their phones. Technology is a tool. It's not the be all and end all. And so, I think when you look around this field that you can see here with me, you've got multiple brands that are meeting for the first time. You've got kids that are 2 going on the obstacle course. You've got people that are 82 walking around. And so to be able to bring it all together and to use this moment to launch the platform and the mission in the real world with real people is just awesome.
It was incredible. So last night, towards the end of the day, the GORUCK game, which you can hear in the background here, is going on.
The
competition
is
going on. They're
crazy right now.
And they were doing, the women were doing the 60-pound sandbag hold above the head, right? So arms locked out. And there was everything from, young professional athletes to I hesitate to say elderly, but I mean a lady who was in her late 60s,
Masters division,
and Masters division, experienced, and they're competing together, right? And now, certainly, she didn't win, but to get out there, right? I looked at it and I said, that's incredible. The fact that you're out there and you feel the confidence amongst this community and the safe space, which we have talked a lot about now in today's world, to come out here and know that it's just about being here and contributing that is adding to the value of the community.
It's again, I keep using the word access. It's inclusive. It's meant to bring anyone together, right? Could be my kids have been here all weekend going through the obstacle course. They did the Travis Manion WOD with us yesterday. They scaled it down and did it body weight. It's giving people the tools, the motivation, the social connection to just get outside, do something with a friend, be a little bit healthier, build a better community, and build a better America.
Let's talk about the nuts and bolts of the app itself.
Yeah, I mean, look, so there's a couple things that go behind it. Number one, the idea that there is no Spotify of fitness. Running's over here, CrossFit's over here, yoga's over here. We really wanted to bring all of it together under one roof. So when we say to unite and democratize fitness as our mission statement, the unite side is bringing all those activities together. The democratize is the fact that there are more trainers, more instructors, more coaches than there are gyms in this country. It's over 450,000 certified coaches and trainers. And you know what? They're all hustling. And they're all getting screwed. Everyone's making money in fitness, but the people that we show up to see, the trainer, the coach, the yogi, the person that really pushes us to be our best. And so, again, we didn't start with the notion of disrupting. We started with a problem that we felt going through COVID, that our friends who are trainers or leaders and coaches are experiencing, and said, look, we've got to solve that. We've got to bring people together. We've got to help them find new trainers, new coaches, new instructors, new events, new workouts and challenges so that they can push themselves, be a little bit better. And so we can help trainers and coaches move up the income curve, because it's really unfair that most of them are making less than $35,000 a year and they're working their tail off.
Mm-hmm. And it released, a couple months ago now?
Yeah, look, 9 women can't make a baby in 1 month. It's great to have people like John Hankey and our friends at Niantic as partners and investors who know this space. Mm-hmm. We just came out of beta this week, and so we've had great support from our team at GORUCK, F3, various run clubs around the country who've just been giving us feedback as we're going. And so the app came out really out of beta this week on Android earlier in the month. Mm-hmm. We're just getting started. It's taking the feedback from the community, pushing a release every week to just make it better. What you see today, Fran, you really see a couple of things. You see a map because it's about the real world. It's about discovery. It's about the ability to get outside and find an event, find a boot camp, find a yoga class.
Well, because, you can link now a trainer up, to contextualize the whole thing, right? You can link a trainer up with a trainee, and you can say, I'm going to meet you in this parking lot, and out of the back of my car. And I met a guy yesterday who started a company, William Wilson. I have to look it up on my phone, but he started a company in Atlanta called Truck Fit.
I know
this guy?
I know Willie. Yeah.
And he was here and has spent some time with us the last couple of days, and this is what he did. Yep. And he said, I started a gym this year because 3 years ago he got into GORUCK. He bought a truck. He started a gym in the back of his truck. Yep. And now he's gained the capital to go out and open his own gym. And now we're creating that platform through what you're doing.
There's thousands of those cases, right? So he's got it. You've got Soldier Fit. You've got Beaver Fit. You've got my neighbor who's a trainer who's got GORUCK sandbags in his car. You've got our other neighbor who works, and I won't say for which brand, but on the side she's doing spin classes and yoga classes for moms. So that democratization now gives all of these trainers access to more people, more discovery, because we know that Facebook is the devil, right? They don't need to advertise on Facebook. They can come through and really find like-minded people in the app, and they can say exactly what you said. Meet me here 10 o'clock at this park, at this playground. The class is $20. Drop in now and come meet other people. And they can build that business with their passion, with the potential that they have. They just haven't had the tools.
And the $20 goes to them.
It goes right to them. We're an enablement platform. We're really a network. So we'll take a small transaction fee, but we're not trying to do what the big tech monoliths do. This is really about democratization and empowering the people to get out there and build their businesses and their brands.
Yeah. How different is it from where you're coming from and kind of the big corporate stuff, although fun, or the big corporate space?
I would argue that I've been very, very blessed every part of my life. Great leaders, great teachers, great mentors, great bosses that have supported us and let us do amazing things. This is no different, and even when we were back at Nike, it was 3 of us, then 13, then 30, then 300. I don't think we really understood what we were doing at the time, but we were building products and services that we wanted to use. And
that's how I feel every day.
I
don't know what I'm doing here, but we're going to figure it out.
It was the wild, wild west. I mean, I remember being in Cupertino when Mr. Jobs pulled out the iPhone and he said, if you're not in someone's pocket, you're not going to be in their life. Yeah. And so that tool of being in their life has to be used for good. Has to be used for fitness and community connection. Building Sandlot, being here on the event side, it's how we launched Nike Plus. We launched the Fuel Band in 2012 at South by Southwest. We turned the city into a fitness festival. And so you'll see here, and the folks that know that, a lot of the same DNA from the blueprint that we were a part of back in the day.
Awesome. What's next? What's the next 6-12 months look like?
Yeah, growth mode, still a startup, it's still leveraging the power of the people. And again, like every brand partner that's here, you guys, I've known Kelly Starrett for 15 years.
We had him in here yesterday.
Yeah, Kelly was on our advisory board back at Nike, in Nike Plus days. And so What's next is getting all these brands onto the map so that anyone can partake in the brand events. Number 2 is really scaling out the rest of the group model. And so now trainers, I can train my groups locally, I can train my groups nationally, I can create a subscription program off the back of that. But I think more than anything, it's just listen to the community. Listen to the community of trainers, listen to the community of athletes, and just making sure we're delivering value for them. I'll tell you, come Monday, probably take Monday off, but Tuesday we'll be starting on Sandlot Jax 2023.
I just was saying that to Jason last night. We were up there watching the competition, and he said people were coming up to him and they were saying, what's the plan for next year? And he's like, guys, it's Saturday. We still got another day of this one. And I said, well, what? Monday we start planning for year 2, and he goes, probably Sunday night.
It's about right. We got our Monday morning jump start and after action review. So we'll do the tear down and get going again.
Well, this has been an absolutely incredible event, and I'm so thankful that you welcomed us here. I'm so thankful to have been a part of this community, met the people that we have, and I can't wait till next year, and I can't wait to support what you guys are doing in any way that we can. You just got to let us know, and we're going to get the word out. Where does someone go to find it?
Fran, look, first off, thank you for that. Thanks for the support, but this is truly just, and again, I'm looking out here at the field, the team effort. We called our friends, we called our family, called in a lot of favors, but it's turned out to be a whole lot of fun. So, look, you can find us at team@sandlot.fit. We'll get back to you or anyone in the community within an hour. So we're just getting started here, Fran. We're going to have a lot more fun together.
Awesome. I can't wait.
Appreciate it,
Thanks,
brother.
BJ.
Yes, sir.
Emily, Sarah, welcome to the Jedburgh Podcast.
Hi, Fran.
First time for Emily.
Yes.
Second time for Sarah.
I'm a veteran. I beat you. I'm a virgin.
But first time in person.
True. Fair.
Well, thanks for hopping in here. We're wrapping up on the end of day 3. So Sunday afternoon, we're going to get the winners in here in a little bit. We've already had BJ in to talk about Sandlot technology, where we're going with the app, disruption of fitness. But the big component here was getting this thing set up. And so I wanted to drag you guys in here to hear your side. We had Jason, right, in 56, right before we launched, went out Thursday before the event. We got to hear him talk about the vision, why we were doing it, what it was going to look like, this concept that he created, and as he said, call in every favor that he had. And I'm going to tell you before I turn it over to you for some comments, everybody showed up. And it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I don't know how he does it. He tells, literally, I remember when we were doing a driveway workout, and he was like, let's throw a really big party and invite all our friends. And I'm like, okay, good idea. I'll be there. But he just gets an idea, and he is like a dog on a bone. He just does not quit. And, there were times when I was like, are we really doing this? Is this happening? And then I'm like, okay, we're getting in, when things, the app started happening, and then, next thing I know, he's talking to Sam at Savage Race, and next thing you know, he's talking to Rogue and getting frameworks on, the event team that's been awesome and instrumental in getting this together too. And then it was like, and then I saw, okay, he's serious. So it was calling in all our friends that we've made over the year. I mean, and then it snowballs a little bit. It takes some time, but this was literally a pipe dream that came to fruition in less than a year. And it's Jason is driving this train, but I'm often there to be like, check, okay, where are we going now, honey? Check the map, make sure we're on the right track. And we got there with a lot of people's help, and it's super humbling that people would show up.
Well, and Sarah, you and I spoke on episode 55. You joined me. We weren't able to do it in person, which was 100% my fault, but I was so honored to meet you finally in person here, spend time with you yesterday when we did Chad 1000 next day. I feel good today. It's going to hit me in the car ride back tonight.
Y'all did the whole workout?
Okay.
We did the whole workout,
Okay.
and I felt fine. And then I stood up this morning, and my calves were like rawr.
Yeah.
So, but I'm good now. Walking around, I walked it out. Don't be discouraged, everyone.
Yeah.
Chad 1000X is great.
It is great.
It is great, and we had an awesome time doing it. And I think I told you when we spoke yesterday that your interview, and I have the honor of speaking with so many people, was honestly the hardest interview that I've ever had to do. And it's very, very personal, your story, and close to the heart for so many of us who've served with so many people like Chad and, the warriors that they are. It was really, truly, I feel honored to have spent the time with you to be able to remember him. And so thank you for that.
Thanks for giving me the platform, and listening to his story. That matters too. So
Yeah, absolutely. And the partnership that I hope that we can create coming off of this, I really look forward to as well. But you got called in, and how has the last couple of days been?
Voluntold.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
So Em and I are kind of like this mini team behind the team. And so my recollection of this going down was I was here visiting Emily and Jason last August, and Jason's like, he's like a wizard behind the curtain, and he's like, hey, yeah, I'm going to do this fitness festival thing. It's going to be down by the water. You know what? Just get in the Jeep. Let's drive down there.
Yeah.
And so we're driving in the Jeep, which they don't have a top on, which is a whole nother story.
It's
Florida.
Florida. They
Right.
get to do whatever they want.
Yeah,
down
but it
here.
rains.
And we were in the rain. But that's fine because we're tough. But
Yeah.
we get down here and he's showing me kind of like the layout, and we're gonna have vendors here, and we're gonna have campsites here, and you're gonna speak at it, and we're gonna have these talks, and the wizard, was all going, and I was just kind of like,
We're looking at him being like, yeah.
sounds great.
Okay.
And then not that I doubted him, but
Right.
he has this big idea, and
Yeah.
he pulled it all together. And he and I were talking yesterday, and he referred to it as the beta year. Yes, I think it's exactly where it needs to be right now.
Yeah.
And it was a really good experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I told him yesterday, and I'll tell you because you're here with me now, that I get to talk to a lot of people. It's been pretty cool over the last 14 months or so. But you walk out of every conversation and you feel a little bit differently about everyone. And people ask me, well, what's your favorite one? And I say, I can't, you can't ask me that question.
Yeah.
Because I truly believe that I learn more from the time I spend with my guests, and I come out of every conversation slightly different. And usually almost always for the better. But when I left you guys in Jacksonville, and I know I've talked about it before, but I flew into India, from India.
Oh, right.
I got in the car, and we went to the house, and then we packed the car, and we put the kids, the dog, the boat on the back, and we drive, 24 hours essentially, down here and make the pit stop in Jacksonville to meet them and do the interview. But it was so, in a way, easy to do that because of the energy and that you both have. And we hadn't met before. That was the first time we met.
First time.
But you see the energy, and I had read the book in that you guys wrote, and it was just so I somewhat understood the story. But you can't help but be motivated. And when I saw Jason yesterday afternoon, I told him this. I said, listen, I talked to a lot of people, and I will tell you that every once in a while you stop on the way out of somewhere and you say, that person deserves every bit of success that has come their way because they earned it through everything they did. And I truly feel that way about what you guys have put together, what you've done with GORUCK. And people have asked me, well, what is, as the lead up to this, what is GORUCK and what is this? And it is a movement. And that's really what it is. It's a movement, certainly functionally in the most literal sense, but it is, you guys have taken a concept that was born in Africa, and over the course of since 2008, and you have created a global movement of people who come down here, and everyone has come through this booth, and we have a chance to talk to them because I guess people like looking at this Land Rover and they get to ask what it is. And we've asked them where they're from, and they're from all over.
It's like I said, it's kind of unbelievable in some ways, but I'm a little in denial about it because I feel like we're just doing things with people that we like to hang out with. It's really a community of communities, and it's, I heard that, well, when you were, when we were introduced, Sara came, the first time we talked with her, she said, I asked around about you and Jason and I got thumbs up. And that's what means the most with all these things. Like, I look around and I saw my neighbors, I saw my family, I saw extended family, I saw partners that we've known for a decade. I saw, people Jason served with. I saw people I went to high school with, people I went to college. It's like, it's humbling to know that these people are like, yeah, I want to come support you, because that's what it is. It's supporting. It's not just Jason and me. It's supporting this sort of way of life. It's supporting the cause. It's supporting, wanting to be active and just trying to make the world a little bit better. I mean, service is just something that doesn't really leave your what you're doing. And I think there's lots of ways to serve, and this has sort of been the extension of that. Like, we both got out of the government and wanted to get back in, thinking like,
I still wake up some days and say, I wish I could go back in.
Right. We were like, that was an easier way to serve. Like, this has been circuitous. It's been, sometimes we've had doubts. We've wanted to do other things. I mean, I dream of, like, when my kids are grown, I'm going to go off to, like, some far off country and be a humanitarian again. That's my dream. But in the meantime, I'll share a story about, 5 years ago, Jason was at a point with GORUCK. He said, I'm done. I've hit a wall. I'm just not enjoying this anymore. And I remember telling him, and we were newly back together, pretty much just reconnecting. And I looked at him and I said, just give it 10 years. Just give it to 10 years. Then we can decide. Here we are. Yeah. We're at 10 years now. And it's good to stick with something and not give up on it. And he's better than that than I've ever been.
Well, we had Josh Bridges in here the other day, and he tells a great story. And it'll be in his episode. I think it's going to be number 60. And he talks about this guy that motivated him to go into the SEALs, and they both went in together. And on day 2, this guy quit after telling him for years, this is my lifelong dream. And he says, I don't understand. If it's your lifelong dream, why do you quit on day 2? We're sponsored by Jersey Mike's, and their Jersey Mike's was awesome yesterday. Came down here, sandwiches to everybody. Yeah. I mean, so thankful for Peter Cancro and building that company and supporting us. But Peter tells a story, which maybe you can relay to Jason, where 2 times Jersey Mike's was done. I mean, and he tells it in the episode I had with him in number 2, where it was over, and he went home and said, we can't go on. We have to figure this out. Yeah. And they did. And they came back, woke up the next day, and they said, okay, we'll just take one more step. Take one more step. Look to tomorrow. Find a way to do it tomorrow. Yeah. And I met Peter in 2016, and he told me they had just done $1 billion in revenue and opened 1,000 stores, and he told me we haven't started.
Wow.
Last year, 2 years ago, they hit 2,000 stores and $2 billion in revenue.
$2 billion?
$2 billion. And now they are on a drive to $3 billion in revenue. Crazy. And 3,000 stores.
Amazing.
And 10 years ago, he walked home and said, it's over.
Yeah.
We don't have anything left.
Yeah.
And that guy bought Mike's Subs when it was 1 store. And he worked there at 14 years old making sandwiches.
Crazy.
Only job he ever had.
Crazy.
So you're absolutely right. You got to stick with it. And this right here, out of the back of this ambulance, we look at the result of sticking with it.
I mean, to be honest, we'll be in the hole after this. I mean, that's just how these work. And
you got to take big swings.
But that's Jason's good about that. He's kind of like puts it all on the table. When he plays poker, he just bets everything he's got. And I'm a little more conservative, and I'm kind of like, second guessing sometimes. But I told myself at one point when I was like, I think this could be a total disaster. No one could show up, But I know that the work we're putting in and the outreach, the reconnecting with people after, 2 years of people being disconnected, that we, even if we don't see it today in year one, we'll see it down the line. And I think that's important to know that, not everything's going to come out of the gates, exactly the way you want it, but it's a starting point.
If it makes you feel better, we're going to be in the hole too. so we have taken that risk with you to do this.
All right, we're there.
But I feel as equally confident as you do that it was the right decision.
Yes.
We took the big swing, and let's see what happens.
Yeah. No guts, no glory.
We got a couple more hours left. We want to get out of here in the next couple of minutes because we got the finals that are going to start. What are we looking forward to in the finals?
Oh man, I just honestly, to be perfectly honest, I want to make sure no one gets hurt.
yeah. Number one, liability.
But I also, I want to see the, all the athletes feel good about what they put out there, and that the cadre feels satisfied, that they put on a great event, and that the spectators felt like it was, worth their while.
Awesome. We're going to have the winners in here. Sarah, we got the Boston Frogman swim.
Yeah.
Coming
up soon.
So, dates and how do we get people involved?
Yeah.
I know we talked about it in 55, but I'm plugging it again here.
Okay. Boston Frogman 5K. It's a 5K open water swim in the Boston Harbor, which I don't care what you say, Fran. It's chilly.
It's chilly and it's dirty. So
really chilly.
I'll give you both.
It's June 12th this year. You guys can check out Instagram, the Step Up Foundation, or my Instagram, Sara Wilkinson 7. Check out my website, stepupfoundation.org. You guys can donate. We have a team of 13 swimmers swimming in honor of 6 guys who fall into suicide. So.
All right.
Wow.
I'm going to try to get up there for that.
Yeah. Awesome.
See what we can do.
Yeah.
So, all right. Emily, Sarah, time to go watch the finals.
Let's go.
Thanks for jumping in here with me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks, Fran.
All right. Katie, Hunter, welcome to the Jedburgh Podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
The champions. the man and the woman champion.
Doesn't feel like it.
It's been a long weekend.
Yeah, you said it's been a long weekend or something?
Yeah.
We've done a lot.
Katie's fared a lot better than I have. If you look at her, she's smiling. I'm all sunburnt.
She's got blood all over her hands.
But I'm tan.
That's nail polish.
We got a good tan going. Hunter's a little burnt.
I'm really burnt. I told her before we got here, I was like, honestly, the thing that we have to worry about the most is the sun. I was like, so stay out of the sun, stay iced, all this kind of stuff. And I did it all the way through the first day. I stayed away from everything. I stayed in the shade. And then today, everything was just like really exposed and very rapid pace. So I got cooked. And Katie somehow, she's tan.
I got tan, but I found ice and a cooler truck. So I took your advice and I stayed cool and out of the sun. So
I never had time. I just stood in the sun. I just took the brunt force of just what it's like to have radiation from a ball of fire millions of miles away.
Yeah, but at that point, you're in it.
Yes.
I mean, that's it. Like, it's the final day of competition, and now it's go time. So,
never give up, never surrender.
Exactly. It's got to go out the window. So let's talk about the event for a minute. All right. And I have the details here. I'm going to pull them up because I think it's really important that we quantify the amount of shit that you guys have gone through.
That's a good word for it.
So 12-mile ruck, max weighted pull-ups, sandbag overhead toss, mile ruck for time, max farmer's carry, max overhead sandbag hold, the Savage race course. Then we got obstacles into sandbag carries. Then we got rope climbs into jerry can carries, into burden drags, into burpees, and back down. And then the beatdown session that happened there at the end, which is just straight fighting.
I honestly didn't know until you just told me how many events there were. So I was counting as you were going out because I was trying to say, I was like, how many things have we done? Like, I'm trying to figure it out. Because I was all so smushed together near the end. I was like, is this even one event or is this just all together? So, yeah.
Well, they started the ramp ups slowly, right? It's a couple of events the first 2 days, and then today they just hit you with everything.
By far, the most brutal experience was that ruck. The 12-mile ruck is just, it's not fair to any human being, even fit human beings.
Now you say that, right? But what I have to tell you is that if you come from the special forces, that's like a morning.
Yeah.
Right.
I figured that.
So that's like wake up and let's get after it.
Do you have to carry a flag too? Because that's heavy.
Well,
that was heavy.
So we would do runs. So they have you call it like the flag and the guidon, right? And the guidon's like the colors and the flag that represents your unit.
Yep.
And you go for these runs, and yeah, someone's carrying those things up front of the big
Props to that
formation.
man. Oh my gosh. That's heavy.
But that's why on the uniform, the flag faces backwards. If you ever look at the uniform and you have a flag on the shoulder, right? That flag is in the direction of the pole being in the front, and it's facing backwards.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
never would have figured that out.
So, all right, let's talk. So you said 12-mile ruck. Talk to me about just the evolution of what was going through your minds coming into this. What was the reason why you wanted to do it, and what brought you down to Jacksonville?
Ladies first.
I heard about GORUCK, and I like to go after titles that I really have like a connection with. Both my brothers are in the Air Force, so that kind of brought me down, got me excited. I started working with GORUCK a little bit ago, and just as like an organization, it's phenomenal. And I knew they'd put on a pretty good event, and I was pumped to do all the things they'd put us through, which I knew was going to be brutal, and so it's been fun. So that's what brought me here, to try to like make that GORUCK champ title.
Well, and important to note that you didn't just happen to come off the street and hop into here. You were the 2021 World's Toughest Mudder champion.
It's true, yes. Yeah, so like I feel like anything they threw at me, I was hoping it'd be even like longer, because that's where I like really get my stride. A lot of this stuff was like short and quick, which was really fun because my background's also CrossFit. And so, yeah, I didn't come straight off the streets, but still kind of new to this game, and I just wanted to come here and have fun.
So you just said it, and I was about to ask you that, because in all the footage and everything that came out of World's Toughest Mudder, they refer to you as the newcomer.
Oh, yeah.
So how long have you
Rookie.
been competing in these?
So that Savage race was my 5th ever obstacle course. So I started Spartan races last fall. So Spartan race in Tahoe in, I think, September was my first ever. Other than that, I've done trail ultramarathons, and that's it, no obstacles. But you kind of combine CrossFit and barbells and like grip work with running, and you get obstacle course racing. So I kind of jumped into it.
Not a bad first year.
No, not a bad first year. I'll take it.
All right, Hunter, are you ready? Here we go.
Hunter's turn.
2017 Sports Illustrated Top 50 Fittest Athletes, 7 world titles in OCR and High Rocks, 3 world records, 5 national titles, undefeated on the Broken Skull Ranch 2015 to 2018, among many others.
I've been doing this a long time.
You are not the newcomer to this game.
He's got some years on me.
I will say, because I watched a number of these events, it doesn't matter, because you were challenged to the max over here.
Yeah. I've been doing this since I did my first event of this style in 2011. I've known about GORUCK actually since that time. I never really, because you have to understand, like, to be the very best in the world, you really got to try to stay in your lane. And I have ADHD, and I've gotten out of my lane many times, and some to my advantage, other times not. And, you know, when this weekend popped up, I was just like, it's actually only 3 weeks away from my world championships, which is in Vegas. And I was like, that's pretty close and pretty risky. But I was just like, I'm in such good shape. I just want to get raw, and I want to fight. I want to just feel the burn. Like, that's personally what I get into this for. I don't really care about the money. You know, if I wanted to make a lot of money, I'd work on Wall Street with my brother. But I care about the competition. I care about the process. I care about the experience of being able to look somebody face to face who I've never met before. Sometimes I've competed against them maybe 100 times before, and have that incredible level of intensity. And all you can really do is give everything that you have in that moment, and that's all you have. Honestly, it's like you've worked hard beforehand. You know, you may have more experience, but it's a kind of a match of grit and experience that wins these things.
How do you do that? I want to ask you a question about doing that over time.
Yeah.
Right. And I ask you this question because what I didn't mention to you probably before we started this is that I work as a performance development coach at Boston University for the men's rowing team.
Yeah.
And, you know, what we have is, you know, a team that we're consistently building progressively year over year. So when you come in at a freshman level or a rookie level,
Yeah.
right? They're at one baseline, but the expectation is that with each year, their baseline is elevated when they come back in the fall
Yep.
until they get to a certain peak by, at least in our world, by the time they're seniors, and then some go off to do great things on national teams all over the world.
Yeah.
When you look at your career over since 2011, and you have to consider, so you just told me you have an event in 3 weeks,
Yep.
right? How do you balance going all in the moment? Because if you're not all in the moment, you won't be sitting here with me, right? But also know that you have to be able to perform again in a short amount of time.
You ever see those videos like in James Bond, like the nitroglycerin, and if it just like it's very volatile and very explosive, and if it even just gets like one ray of sunshine on it, it'll explode. That's kind of like what it's like. I mean, it has so much incredible potential that it's very risky to hold on to, and if you tip just too far in the wrong direction, you blow it. And like when you talk about this ascension ladder with all these athletes, you have to understand where if you push those guys too hard at an early age, they may crack mentally. They may never get to that third year where all of a sudden you start to see the real peak, and then through the third and fourth year where you see greatness. And I'm lucky. Like I had an interesting experience when I was younger that I had to go to rehab, and I wasn't really focused on athletics at a young age, where I never tipped too young, where I wasn't like so focused on athletics and got beat up at a young age and lost too many times at a young age, where I never was able to fully develop, and I got too scared and I got out early. So my kind of saving grace was coming out of drug use and getting back into athletics, and it was so important to me to have this value over this value that I put everything into it. And many times I've gotten myself in trouble because I put so much intensity behind the focus of athleticism that it's kind of ruined parts of my life. Not necessarily ruined, but just challenged other aspects of my life. And if you can find a way, like Mike Tyson's a great example. Like you saw him, so much raw potential, world champion at the age of 19, but then shortly thereafterwards in jail. That raw potential became a raw problem.
Right.
And then came back and fought again. So you have to be able to control it. You have to be able to be consistent with it. But if you can ride that line of just keep continually sharpening the sword to the point where every single time you do just enough work that it's perfect for battle, you'll become a champion, and you'll build a record like I have. It's just consistency.
So I mentioned before we started, we talk about these 9 characteristics of performance as defined by special operations forces, right? It's what special operations uses to recruit, assess, select, and develop elite talent. Doesn't matter if you're a Green Beret, a Navy SEAL, MARSOC, Raider, Ranger. These 9 are used, they're just weighted differently. Drive, resiliency, adaptability, humility, integrity, curiosity, team ability, effective intelligence, and emotional strength. Can I ask you about drug use and rehab?
Sure.
What? Because everything you're talking about, I can break down into somewhere into these 9 that I just mentioned to you. But there's a big one in here about resiliency and adaptability, because that's what you had to demonstrate to make that change.
Yep.
What changed in your mind that where you went to rehab, made that decision, or maybe you didn't make that decision, you can tell me, and then it turned you back onto athletics to become a competitor?
It was kind of like a mountain valley. Like the best way of describing it, my level of success was like climbing the mountain, falling off of it drastically, and then climbing up another mountain to get out. It's like almost being lost in the wilderness. Your plane crashes. You know that you have to get back to humanity again, but you find a false peak in the middle of it, and it's either you have the strength to get through it and go up another peak again to find your way out, or you just curl up in a ball and die. I'm not trying to be so drastic about it. I had this conversation this weekend about this, and it bothers some people because they're simple. But I was in rehab. I was doing heroin, and I'd reached the point where I wasn't even into heroin. I was doing heroin, but now I was in rehab. I was with other drug addicts, and they were so into drugs that it elevated my level of drug use. Now I started injecting heroin, and I just realized I was like, I can't do this. I'm gonna tear myself to shreds if I continue down this path. So I made a promise to myself. I was like, what's the only thing you ever thought was interesting in this world? What was your only shred of light coming through the clouds? And it was the fact that I remember recruiters used to come in and come to tell us about being the Navy SEAL when we were in wrestling camps. So I was like, I'm going to become a Navy SEAL. Now, this may sound crazy to some people listening to this.
Not to me.
Yeah, but I decided to go out and make a promise to myself, and I tattooed a trident in my back.
I saw that.
It bothers a lot of people in special forces, to be honest. That was my promise, that I was not going to continue to do drugs and that I was going to follow this path. I went out, got out of rehab. I immediately applied to the Navy, and I got my contract, whatever they call it. 2 days later, my recruiter told me, he's like, lie about everything that you've gone through because they're not going to take you. And I was like,
you can't go in and be like, I was on heroin, I'm ready to go to the Navy.
Yeah. So they wouldn't accept me. So then I got in, they gave me the contract because I lied about everything. Then they found about my record, and then they dropped me. So then I went back to drugs.
The second thing someone should tell you is never listen to the recruiter.
I didn't know any better. I was literally living in New York at the time, and it was the Harlem Recruiter, which was probably like the number one churn and burn recruiter agency in like the United States. Kids coming in with probably terrible records, have nothing ahead of them except for maybe the opportunity of joining the military. There's me. I come in, and they're like, I crush all the PT tests. They're like, let's just try to shove this kid through the pipeline. And so
he's a killer. We know it. Just get him out there.
Give him a gun. Send him out there. We'll end the war in a day. So they booted me out. Now I'm back out in the open. And I'm like, I have no objective. I have no goal. I have no future. Because I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to do anything other than this. It got me through this hard time. And now I'm like, what's my purpose? So then I went back to using drugs, and I started working out again. I had a couple opportunities that kept me afloat, so it seemed like I was somewhat of like a human in society that was not a hot mess, but I was. And then I overdosed, and it was 1 week before a competition that I had, and I competed against the 2 prior world champions that week, and I came third to them. And I was like, the difference between myself and second or even first was the fact that 1 week before, these people were resting in a bed, and I was high on cocaine with my heart jumping out of my chest. And, you know, this may sound like a crazy story to many people, but this was literally my life at the time. It was like, literally, I would be like, I'm in Miami doing an 8-ball of cocaine, and I'm now doing your 8-ball of cocaine because you're too tired to take it on. And the next week, I fly back to California, and I'm in a championship. So I had to have that moment where I had a loss, and I realized the difference between greatness and myself was that week that I was doing drugs. So I just swore it off right then and there. And I have a beer in my hand right now because I understand balance at this point in my life. Yeah. But back then I needed to have this hard line in the sand where I have tattooed Macho Man Randy Savage on my ribs because he's, you know, it was his mindset, not the fact. We all know wrestling's somewhat fake, not entirely fake, but it was his mindset. It was this thing on my back that got me through rehab. This thing that got me through competition. It was this thing that created a character that I used to compete to this day. You know, they call me the sheriff when I'm out in the wrestling pit. Like, I had to create
I actually thought, I had to look it up, I actually thought you were a sheriff.
No.
That would be cool.
It would be. So it was, I'm a man of extremes, and it is these extremes and these like things where I'm willing to ink my body with a message in a mindset to get it done. Yeah. And I'm not telling you guys to go get tattoos if you're listening to this, but that is the difference between greatness and somebody who reads books about people who are great.
Thanks for sharing that. That's I find that story to be extremely compelling, and I would say that, you know, when it comes to what motivates you, you know, every person is motivated by something different, and whether that be a tattoo, whether that be carrying something with them, whether that be the memory of somebody, you know, that's it. Whatever you can latch onto, that's going to help you to find success. That's going to bring you back in. We talk about drive, you know, in here we talk about purpose in a lot of conversations. Without purpose, nothing else matters.
Purpose and passion. Those are my 2 letters.
Yep.
Two words.
Yeah, I mean, and that is what gets you up. That's what gets you to the next piece. Katie, your turn.
My turn?
Nighttime fitness.
Yep, nighttime training.
Nighttime training,
yep,
sorry.
It's close. What's my purpose and passion?
What is your purpose and passion?
So I have worked in the world of fitness for quite a while, and my purpose and passion is really getting people to be where they want to be. So like whether that's someone learning to do a squat for the first time, or like whatever it is where they feel good about themselves, that's where I like to help them. But the only thing I was thinking during that whole story was like, do you have like a tattoo artist?
You?
Do you have one that you would recommend to our audience?
No.
That's really what the pitch.
No, I got this one in Montana. I got this one in Venice Beach, and in Portland, Maine. And each and every single one of these people did not have talent. They just had, they were there at the time.
They had a tattoo gun.
And they had a tattoo gun. I would not suggest any of these people.
Okay, deal.
Especially not for you.
No, I have no tattoos. No.
I don't either. And there's people say to me all the time, "How do you have no tattoos? You spent 13 years in the Army." There's two things I never did. I never smoked or dipped, and I never got a tattoo.
Wow, that
Yeah.
is impressive.
Yeah.
That is literally like the bane of my existence. I have been a tobacco fiend since
Really?
probably 12 years old. Yep.
Really?
I still chew irregularly, but I used to smoke cigarettes like crazy. I was a logger in Montana, smoking, hitting snuff, and packing a lip all at the same time. Katie and I have spent a lot of time together over the past couple of years. Now I've even given her a bad habit.
Well, I'm born and raised in Iowa, so like dipping's the thing. So like sadly, like that's impressive. You haven't, because I even have quite a bit, and
So-
still to this day.
I didn't know what dip was. So you and I were talking before we started that. You're from Fairfield, Connecticut. I live in New Canaan now, but I grew up outside of Boston.
Yeah.
In a town called Weston, which is about 15 miles west of Boston. And I didn't even know what dip was. And I go in the Army, and it's like one of the infantry school after basic training and officer candidate school. And a guy takes the dip. Well, I didn't even know what it was. To me, he takes some shit out of his mouth and he throws it on the ground, right? And I'm looking at him and I'm looking at it, and then I go and I'm like, I must have been sleep deprived or something, because I start like touching it. And he's like, "Dude, what are you doing?" And at first I'm like, I actually have no idea what I'm doing, because you took that out of your mouth and now I'm touching it. But what is that? And this guy had to explain to me what dip was.
What a raw, sweet boy you were. I had my first
Innocent. That's
I had my
Innocent
first
boy.
experience.
innocence to a T.
I had my first experience in military school, and I ended up on the toilet going to the bathroom for my back end and throwing up out my front end my first time. So
Really?
oh God, yeah. Didn't know any better. I think I was
So I
13 or
grew
14.
up with a ton of wrestlers, and that's like what they did. But a
Oh,
lot
yeah,
of them
you were in
did. A
Iowa.
lot of them did throw up, or like into college and stuff. And like when I tried it for the first time, I was terrified, because everyone's like, "Oh yeah, you'll throw up," blah blah blah. And I was like, "Nope, that was just fun." So
Katie's made of steel.
I am essentially a robot. So
You've got a competition in 3 weeks. What's next for you, Katie?
same thing, but instead of individual like he's doing in Vegas for High Rocks National Championships, will be doubles. So it will be a male and a female pair doing the same course he does, but just you split the work.
Okay. Who are you doing it with?
I'm doing with a partner named Julian. He's from California.
Awesome.
Super buff.
He
Yeah?
is buff. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is a collegiate runner. He's very good. So
Yeah.
we're hoping to take the title there as well. So that's the plan.
Awesome. And next year, you guys come back?
I was
Come back to
planning
this
on,
one.
GORUCK game?
I
Oh,
was
for
planning on retiring in May, to be totally honest.
Really?
Yep.
How come?
I've just been doing it for 11 years, and I just realized that, like, there's this work-life balance where, as I said, like, you know, I've been competing for such a long time, and I really only look at this from the standpoint of winning. Like, I could care less if they just gave me a couple beers and an axe versus 15,000, 50,000, 150,000. I've won all of those things in competition before. And other than the fact that you can spend the money, it's worthless. Like, I don't care about it.
Plus,
I
he's got to crew me for some 24-hour races, so
I'm gonna crew Katie.
that takes his time away.
Yeah. So I think it'd be nice to just, like, I used to be a spin instructor to pay
Oh,
my
really?
bills. Like, I'll go back and I'll teach some spin classes.
He's very good. It's fun. You should
And-
all come to a spin
Yeah,
class.
and I'll just, like, you know, I'll just read and I'll work out and focus on my businesses, focus on home, and have a good time. But honestly, I told Jason, the guy who owns GORUCK, I said, I really did not consider competing after May, but after this, I was like, if you guys host it again, which he said he's going to do,
Yeah.
I will strongly consider, like, I'll be back.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, all the from the programming to the standards to the like rule enforcement, everything was phenomenal, because that can really make or break a competition. And they just did such a good job.
So Jason and I talked about standards in terms of, you know, GORUCK standards and the standards that you have when you come out of the Special Forces Regiment. And one of the things that you guys have highlighted that you take away from the exposure into this world is that once you leave service in the Special Forces Regiment, you serve as any sort of special operator, SEAL, Green Beret, doesn't matter. That standard lives within you in everything that you do, because you always represent the regiment. You always represent everybody that stood beside you then, before, and now. And you never want someone to come in and say that person no longer lives up to the standard that earned, and I say earned for a very specific reason, earned them the ability to wear that green beret. And that's demonstrated here.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. You can notice it. I mean, we come from organizations where I'm not trying to bash. I made a post probably that was not so colorful this morning about saying the difference between some of the companies we work with compared to this. Mm-hmm. And it's, even though we're going through the shit, like knowing that it's just straightforward, get the work done, and here are the rules, and here's how we do it.
Grit.
It's an incredible experience. Because, you know what, we all came out here to give our hardest, and if the one thing that's going to get between me and getting to the finish line faster than somebody else is the fact that you guys who are putting on the event were a little bit fishy about the way you orchestrate it. Mm-hmm. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
But that's just being an athlete, you know?
And the events were amazing too.
Yeah,
just
I have
like
to say,
literally a true test of almost everything. Actually, everything, in my opinion. At least for my body and my skill set. So
it was raw. The whole thing was just raw.
It was
I want to go home.
raw and brutal.
I want to take a bath in baby oil and have a bunch of Advil. I think we're gonna funnel some beer later. I don't know why that hit
You're gonna
me.
need to.
Yeah, I need to. I'm gonna go to Disney World tomorrow.
So we were right here, and I was with Emily, Jason's wife Emily, and I was with Sara Wilkinson, and we were recording right before the final event started. And Jason came running down here and he said, "You guys got to come up here because they're absolutely crushing each other up there."
It's wrestling is savage, and that's what you have to be to win.
Yeah, you gotta get primal.
Well, Hunter, I mean, you went straight. So just for context, the final event was basically five rounds of some combative style sparring, you know, and MMA's sort of sparring, no punches or anything. I didn't think they allowed that.
No.
No
hitting, no, yeah.
And you defeated the guy who came in second. It was best of 5, and you took him 3 times. And we were saying that the only way that guy was gonna get you was if he punched you in the throat right off the next one. But
just throat punch.
Yeah, that was it. I said to the guy next to me, I was like, "This dude's got one shot," and like once they says go, unless he punches him clean in the throat, he's not gonna win.
He put up a good fight though.
Yeah,
he got
he
to
did.
his belly. He did what he could.
Yeah, but I was listening to his interview after, and he was very humble about it, and great guy, and he said, "Listen, I didn't have the skill, you know, like I had the heart, I had the desire, and sometimes it comes down to skill." But you had a tough. She gave you a run for it.
Yeah, I'll still say I had that headlock throw up, but that's okay. I think I was trying to do too much.
You were,
and that
I told
was
that
my
from the
issue.
start.
You were.
Just stay low. Stop.
Yep.
I wanted to do some like fun, like cool, entertaining things,
Yeah.
and I should have just stuck with the basics.
So you went there, you know, I watched it, and you tried. You went for the highlight reel.
Yeah, I did.
Right. Tried
I
to
did.
go for the flip. You tried to go for, and you were high. And she's a bit smaller than you are, and she tried to.
Yeah.
She was lower than you, which allowed her to push you out. And then you figured it out after that third one. And then I looked at the guy next to me, Kevin from 18 Alpha Fitness, and I said, she just figured it out because you went in there and you fought her. Right, you didn't try to move her around.
No,
you just said, "I'm going to straight attack you and fight you," and you beat her, and then you figured it out and you did it a couple more
What's
times.
funny is that I talked to all my family from Iowa, and they're all watching on the TV, like even like the little kids and everything. And like I said, I grew up in a big wrestling background, and all of like even the little kids were like, "You didn't stay low enough, stay low." And I was like, "I know you guys, like I know, I got it." So, but it was like a really cool finale to the entire weekend. Win or lose, it was just a cool thing to do at the end.
Yeah, it was cool to watch. As we close out, I ask every one of my guests this question. The Jedburghs in World War II had to do 3 things as core foundational tasks, habits, if you will. They had to be able to shoot, they had to be able to move, and they had to be able to communicate.
Yeah.
If they did these 3 things as foundational elements, then when more complex challenges came their way, they didn't have to think about those 3 things, right? Because they knew them at the back of their hand. They could focus on solving their complex challenges. I want to ask each one of you, what are the 3 things that you each do every day to set the foundations for your success?
You ready?
Go for it.
I think my greatest lessons to the world that's listening is that you need to do tons of research. That means reading, watching, listening, calling people that could potentially be a resource to you. Then you need to have the gumption to assess yourself. You need to really be able to look at yourself in a raw way, that you look beyond people's ideas of you and look at the raw aspects of who you are as a human being, and be able to be honest, like, I'm weak in this, I'm strong in this, I'm missing here, I'm growing there. You need to be able to do that and do it often. And then last but not least is you need to be able to push your limits, and you need to do it in a way that is going to create a shift that your body would not do for itself. You need to reach beyond what your body's normal limits are and find some way to create growth. And I do that as often as I possibly can in the way that I'm training in the gym, working myself mentally, physically, whatever it may be. And if you can continue to do that rotation over and over again every single year, you'll become incredible.
Awesome. Do the research. I appreciate that one so much, because we spend a lot of time on this podcast doing research, and I think it matters.
Yep.
And people don't realize that. And now I'm going to tell you right now, we have done 56 episodes released. I have 58 that we're ready for release, and now we've done a whole number here. Okay, and we got a bunch of short ones that are out there. No one has ever said research. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Honestly assess yourself and push limits beyond what you think you're capable of. All right, you're in the hot seat, Katie.
All right. I would say, first of all, work hard, because hard work really does triumph everything. The harder you push yourself in any aspect, business, work, family, anything, you set a goal and you accomplish it. And then I would say focus. You can do, there's so many things to do in this world. As long as you focus, you find what's important, your priorities, whatever that is, focus in and accomplish it. And then third of all, it's somewhat cheesy, but just love everyone. I think that's so important, is that everyone deserves love and grace in this world, and what comes around goes around. So I think that's really important. Sportsmanship here, everyone's here to have fun. And so I think it's just, it's really important just to be kind to everyone.
I don't think we've had that one either.
That's
Seriously.
good. That's good. I hope everyone listens to that.
That was
one.
a shift for me too. I used to be a brutal competitor where I used to just smash you, and then I'd smash you mentally. And I would
listen. That's okay as long as after.
I never did the after.
See, the after is very important to congratulate that second person, third, whatever it is.
I watched you do that.
Yeah,
I watched you both do that.
And I think it's phenomenal, because Chris put in just as much of an effort as I did, and then the winner trumps. So it just depends. But their heart's in it, and sometimes the skill just isn't. So
it's a better experience overall.
Yeah. No, absolutely, it's true, and it keeps people close.
You've come a long way.
the growth is tremendous.
I have a reputation for being somewhat of a hard ass.
Actually, right after the finals, I was talking to somebody who will remain nameless, but we actually had that conversation because they were talking about interacting with some folks here who had different personalities with different people, and they didn't understand how it worked. And I said, I looked at them and I said, you know what you got to do? Just be a good dude.
I love it.
At the end of the day,
love it.
Just be a good person. Smile at everybody.
Exactly.
Make friends, because it's so much easier to be a good person than it is to have to fight a million battles.
And at the end of the day, that's really what matters. It's not if you won this, you lost it. It's just who you are as a person. So for sure. Which kind of probably goes against military mentality, but I'm going to say it here.
Well, there's a team ability aspect, that I brought up a little bit ago, and if you can't assimilate with the team and you can't get along with anybody, it doesn't matter how great you are in any organization, in business, in the military, in athletics, you will not succeed to full potential if you can't get along with others and you can't do the right thing. And that's what matters.
Exactly.
So, well, congratulations
Thank you.
to both of you. The work that you put in over the last couple of days is truly tremendous. It has been inspirational to watch. I'm honored to have been a part of it, and I'm honored that you took the time to walk down here after a very long weekend. Me being the only thing standing between the after party and yourselves, spend some time with me. I really appreciate it. Great getting to know you. Make sure that we connect when you come to Connecticut. All right, I hope to speak with you, Katie, again in the future in whatever way we can. However, myself and the Jedburgh Podcast can help you guys. Let everybody know before you go how to get in contact with you, and where to follow you, and we're there for whatever you guys ever need.
If you just type in Hunter McIntyre,
it'll come up.
Something will show up.
Good, bad, or ugly, you'll find me.
Things you might not want to see.
Okay.
You can follow me on Instagram, K80_night, K80night. Come join my nighttime training, get fit, get ripped, do a squat, the whole thing.
All right, Katie, Hunter, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
American Jedburghs went on to form the foundation of the United States Special Forces and the Special Activities Directorate of the Central Intelligence Agency. Thanks for listening to the Jedburgh Podcast. I'm your creator and host, Fran Racioppi. Join us next week for a new episode on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on YouTube for full episodes, highlights, and other behind-the-scenes content. If you like what you heard, give us a like and leave a review. Follow me, Fran Racioppi, Talent War Group, and our sponsor Jersey Mike Subs on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Send your comments and inquiries to media@talentwargroup.com. As former members of Special Operations Forces, the Jedburgh Podcast and Talent War Group contribute a percentage of all profits to Special Operations Warrior Foundation, supporting the families of our fallen warriors. Thanks for joining us on this episode. How you prepare today determines success tomorrow.